How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Black Metal Rebellion. I'm your host, Jesse Morgan, and today we're going to do another uh, horror movies to watch or avoid. I've got 6 here today, and I think you should probably watch all of them, but there's some that may or may not be the greatest. First one, I just finished watching this again, because first time I tried to watch it, I did not pay like any attention. I got like the last maybe 15 minutes. But this is the Autopsy of Jane Doe on Raven Banner releasing, whatever. It's all right. The premise is basically this body comes into this morgue. Father and son have to figure out the cause of death. They open her up, find some weird stuff inside her, try to figure out why it's there. They try to figure out how some of her organs and other things have been damaged, even though there's no wear and tear to the skin or surface of the body. And yeah, it's basically one of those kind of mystery movies with some horror elements, some supernatural elements, and yeah, it's pretty good. Kind of reminded me of Unrest from the After Dark horror series a bit, um, with a slightly different take. It's pretty good, not too much action or craziness. Uh, there's some autopsy parts, like they do like the Y incision. They open her up, they take out some organs, they cut into her skull, they take a piece of the brain out. There's some blood. Uh, yeah, pretty interesting if that's what you're into. It's not very high paced or anything like that. I don't know if I'd watch this again anytime soon, but it was alright. I'd give it about a 7 out of 10 for, supernatural kind of gory horror movie. Just, yeah, the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Alright, next. This one. This is the newest installment in the Underworld series. This is Blood Wars. Now, vampires have kind of been ruined for me ever since Twilight came out. Just made vampires just really, really lame and not scary or evil or anything like that to me. But this is an alright installment. It adds a little bit to, I guess, the series and legacy and whatever. You find out kind of a little bit more behind the scenes, what's gone on with Celine and Michael, and I don't know. Some of it's okay, some of it's kind of meh. There's some scenes in here where it's like she should totally be whooping people's ass considering how strong she is from drinking all the elders and all the hybrids' blood and all that shit. But yeah, they kind of weakened her down a bit for some reason. But then at the end, spoiler alert, she kind of gets even more powerful because she drinks someone else's blood. But yeah, I don't know. It's alright. I would, if you're a fan of the Underworld series, it just kind of does what it does all along. There's nothing super fantastic or spectacular about this. The first one and the second one were the best. The War of the Lycans or whatever it was called was all right. It was, it added some backstory to the werewolf thing, but as they went on, it's kind of been, I don't know. There's good parts about it and there's kind of parts about it. I'd give it about a 6.5 out of 10. But that's only because I guess the series has gone on really long. There's not too much else they could really add to it, and vampires have just kind of lost their thing with me. I don't know. But I've been a fan of the Underworld series, so we had to pick it up. Alright, next is another long-running series. This is the final chapter of the Milla Jovovich Resident Evil uh, double trilogy. Yeah. So yeah, it's all right. There's some shocking moments that are kind of just like, okay, yeah, I didn't know that, but it's not as shocking as probably what they want you to feel it is. There's some clones of people in here that you're like, oh, they're a clone. Okay. There's more zombie killing action. There's a little bit more backstory. Spoiler, I think they return back to the Hive from the very first film. I'm not going to tell you why, but they do. And the whole city's like this giant fucking crater because of the nuke they dropped. That was interesting for sure. Wesker, one of the main villains from one of the last films in this series, he yeah, there's just a really weak scene with him in it that when you get there, you're gonna be like, really, god damn it. um, but there's also some kind of neat stuff you find out. Like you're like, oh, I don't know if it makes sense when you actually go back and rewatch the whole series from the start or not. But I didn't really like dig in there with a scalpel and try to dissect it too much. I'm just like, oh, cool, I guess. I'd say the best part of this is like the beginning scene with the giant new kind of creature. I'm not gonna say what it is if you haven't seen it, but it's that's neat. I like that part. And someone gets killed off that I'm surprised gets killed off as quickly as they do, considering how big of an actress they are. Um, but yeah, it's all right. It does end the series. Um, I'm more looking forward to the James Wan reboot. Hopefully, he brings in Leon and Claire. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'd give it a probably 7.5 out of 10. It's good, but it could have been better. I mean, there this series has gone on quite a while, and I don't think they could have really ended this on a super duper huge, climactic high note. I think they kind of set themselves up to fail with the way they've led it up and built it up and hyped it up. Um, but it's a decent close for what it is. It wraps up things, and yeah, I'm not disappointed. It just there's definitely could have been better things. It's very action packed at certain points and kind of just I don't want to say skips some plot because there's plot in there and there's like background like filling in points and there's like I don't know. It's unfortunately that it just couldn't have lived up to the hype it needed. There's no way it could have, no matter who directed this or who wrote the script. There's just no way it could have lived up to anyone's super duper standards for the ending of this. So it did well considering what the series left for it to kind of try and do. So definitely check it out if you're into the Resident Evil Milla Jovovich series. It's worth a watch. You might as well see the last one for God's sakes. All right, this one. This one I seen before we got it. I do believe we saw this on Netflix, so you can probably see it on there. This is the Canal, or Canal, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It's not really made by anyone super special. It's Raven Banner releasing again. They seem to be releasing some interesting indie horror films. It's about an hour and a half long. This, I don't know, it was good. Once it's one of those movies where once you realize what's going on and you see the ending, you can't watch it again and be as thrilled or as, in suspense. Because, yeah, once you know the ending, you're like, oh, well, it's just this. And things are happening because this reason. You'd have to really, really wait a long time to watch this again if you were to watch it because yeah, but yeah. Anyways, what happens is this dude's wife is cheating on him. He goes and follows her and catches them in the act, but they don't see him, and you see him just kind of like walk away, and he was considering killing them with a hammer, but he doesn't. He just walks away, and then he goes and throws up in this washroom somewhere about it, and then he starts seeing some weird shit. There's this person guy that says some weird stuff to him in the bathroom. I'm not going to spoil anything, so I'm just going to say he thinks it may or may not be a delusion. He might. He's not sure whether the person was real or not, and he just kind of, I don't know. He just shrugs it off and goes home, I guess. And then the next morning, the police are at his door and be like, "Yo, your wife's dead. You need to like come with us and talk about it." So it's basically him throughout the movie trying to figure out who killed his wife, who that guy was that was like stalking him in the washroom, and then slowly piecing together certain things. He's obviously not well in the mind. His babysitter is kind of questioning him. His 5-year-old son or whatever is kind of like not sure what his dad's going on about. He's trying to take pictures of certain things and film certain things to prove that this guy was there and that he didn't, because the police are accusing him because it's always the husband did it if the wife's dead. So he's like trying to figure out a way to clear his name, but there's some odd things that are going on that you think are supernatural. Uh, it was good. I'll give it that. It was good for a first watch, and I'd recommend checking it out if you're into kind of psychological slash supernatural horror films. There's no jump scares, so at least it doesn't have that. And if no, I don't think there is. At least I didn't jump. It was interesting. I give it an 8 out of 10. It was pretty good, but now that I know how it ends, it kind of ruins the rewatchability for it. That's all I'm gonna say. I'd say the only real negative thing about this. The plot's good. How they present the information as he's trying to discover things is good. It was neat. Once again, I think it's on Netflix. Mind you, that was the Canadian Netflix. So if you're in the States or somewhere else, you might not be able to see it. All right. If you're wondering what I'm drinking, this is brisk half and half iced tea cherry limonade. Yeah, because that's a thing. It's good though. Really odd, but it tastes good. Okay. I don't know which one I want to do last. I think I'm gonna flip it around. I did have this one last, but this is the new Ring movie. This is Rings, plural. Now, if this had came out, you know, within a remote vicinity of Ring 2, this would have been kind of freaky and a lot more entertaining back when I was like 16 or whenever these things came out. But no, it came out. I'm going to be fucking 32 this year, so this was nowhere near as scary or creepy or interesting as it could have possibly been if I had still been a young teenager or midway through my teen years when the first two pretty much came out. That being said, same premise. The tape, if you watch it, you got 7 days to pass it on or copy it in order to stop, Samara from giving you the permanent face of death. Um, but yeah, it's one of those mystery movies where you have to figure out how to stop it and solve the clues to not die at the end of the 7 days. There's a couple new tidbits of her past that you find out. One of her, like a new relative pops up in this of her and becomes one of the antagonists. There's a new element added to the film. It's not just a VHS anymore. Now it's been copied to a digital file, and there's like an extra movie inside that digital file meant specifically for the protagonist of the series. Spoiler, I guess, but it doesn't really spoil anything. It's just kind of like, oh wow, now it's another new elements and direction for the story, but basically it follows the same point. Um, it was all right. You know, it didn't bring anything super duper new to the table. It's kind of paint by numbers ring movie. Um, Check it out. It was good for, you know, supernatural. If you like the first two, there's no reason why you shouldn't like this. Um, the deaths are pretty much the same. She crawls out, climbs on you, gets a little fresh, and then you're like, "Ugh," you know. But whatever. 6.5 out of 10. All right, the last one is the best one. This is the Bye Bye Man. Don't think it, don't say it. Because the more you think about it and the more you say his name, the closer he gets. It's cool. It's kind of like an urban legend, kind of supernatural horror film that hasn't really been done before. There's been a thing that's sort of like this, I think, before. Well, I'll be damned if I'm going to remember what that was. Definitely check this one out. This one is a really, really good for a supernatural horror film. I hope they do a sequel. I know you're like, a movie called The Bye Bye Man? It sounds like something a kindergartner might make up. Well, kindergartners are kind of freaky. Especially that kindergarten game. Nugget. Yeah, go check out the kindergarten game. That's some weird, messed up shit. Markiplier and Jacksepticeye and IGN or IGP are playing it, and the Cub Scouts is also playing it. All four of those dudes I think are playing it, and it's a messed up game. But anyways, sidetracking. Good movie. Definitely check this out. Once again, there's this supernatural being that if you say his name or if you think about his name or if you write his name, the more attention you give to his name, the closer he gets, and he fucks your shit up. He messes with your head. He gets you to see things that aren't really there. He gets you to see things that are there but aren't the way they are supposed to be perceived. Uh, you know, you'll think you'll be, you know, you'll think there's a dog chasing you, and you'll like shoot it or stab it, and then all of a sudden, oh no, it was really my friend Billy. Damn, you know, it's that kind of shit. Um, and Trinity's in it from the Matrix. uh, it's really good. I was surprised how good this movie was. Carrie Ann Moss, yeah, that's her name. Um, yeah, I really hope they do make a sequel for this. It's got potential. It could potentially be the next, like, I don't know, not well, maybe it can. It could be the next Jeepers Creepers, maybe, or the next, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say Freddy and Jason and all that because they're classic, but this I could see this being turned into a multiple series. It could be done pretty easily. You just need to pick up the pieces where the last person left off, and a new person discovers his name, and then a whole new cast has to, you know, figure out how to stop the Bye Bye Man, and you know, yeah, check it out. Really good. For a original supernatural horror film, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. That's a really high score for a horror film. Um, yeah, I like the trailers looked good. Like, go check out the trailers for any of these. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you're into supernatural horror films. It says a terrifying boogeyman for a new generation. I definitely agree. Really, really good. And before I go, I also want to show this off because I recently got this too. Can't wait for the new Friday the 13th film. So I got this. Jason there. Pretty cool. T-shirt. Got this from Nerd Block, from their horror section. I'm not exactly sure what the saying "I want to believe" is about. I just got it because Jason and Friday the 13th, but if you know, maybe let me know what the fuck that's about. The "I want to believe" thing. But yeah, so those are some movies to check out and or potentially avoid. Let me know if you've seen them. Let me know what you think of them if you have. And keep it sick and horrific.